It was a Tuesday night and it had been an hour, but I was still wide awake. My mind refused to cooperate and all the noise made it impossible to sleep. I had my geography paper the next day and I was getting really frustrated that my heart just kept beating so loudly and it felt like it was going to jump out. So I went downstairs to be closer to my baby sister since I always felt calmer closer to her. But for some reason, when my parents saw me and asked me if I was okay and why I wasn't in bed yet, I just started hyperventilating and broke down. Each time my parents asked what was wrong, all I could say was, I don't know. My parents thought it was exam anxiety, but it didn't seem like it was exam anxiety. Like, yeah, sure, I didn't actually complete my revision for my Singapore geography chapter, but I don't think that was what I was actually worried about. I don't think that's what got me so worked up. Maybe it could have been that, but that's the point, right? Maybe means that I have no clue why I broke down that night. All I know now is that I was running from my issues, and music was my escape. Since I got my phone 4 years ago, music has become a big part of my life. I think I've listened to around 3 or 4 months worth of music within the last 1.5 years. And that's a lot of music. A lot of the time I was at home, I was plugged into my phone just listening to music. When I was showering, there was music playing. I basically had music soundtracking my life for at least half the time I was spent at home. So I never gave myself the chance to really figure out what I was thinking. I always masked what I was feeling with music. Now that I'm looking back on it, I never actually got over stuff completely because I would just avoid it. I either drowned my thoughts in really hype and upbeat music or spent a lot of time listening to depressive and sad music just because that's what seemed to resonate with me at the time. And listening to that music invoked what I call fake emotions because those were not the genuine feelings I had. Those were feelings invoked by the music I was listening to. But that Tuesday night, 2 weeks ago on 20th August, made me realize that this had to stop. Previously on 10th of August, I made a video on how I was self-sabotaging by listening to music that invoked negative feelings, making it harder for me to get over certain things, like losing a really good friend. So I started feeling to those songs that invoked these negative feelings. And things had gotten better, that is true, but I still continued to listen to hype and upbeat music because I thought it was okay. I mean, it made me feel motivated, right? So what's wrong with that? In actuality, it's really just another layer of avoidance. It was still a way of me avoiding the silence and avoiding having to deal with the thoughts I was having. Only when I stopped avoiding everything, then I would be able to take my own advice and recognize what I was dealing with before moving on. So I had to become comfortable with the silence. In this day and age, the world is filled with distractions, especially this thing that I'm using to record this video on now, along with the internet. This tool doesn't actually only distract us from the work that needs to be done for us to achieve our goals. It also distracts us from the most important conversation of all, the conversation we have with ourselves. And to a certain degree, we love it. We love that there is something to occupy our minds to help us avoid the often overwhelming, tiring, and repetitive thoughts and emotions that we have. But it's actually the complete opposite. We are becoming less comfortable with the silence that our ancestors had to deal with, 2,000 years ago? So why are we struggling to deal with this silence that actually gives us so much of an advantage? Because of these distractions. Bro, a lot of us, myself included, have developed this habit where we distract ourselves with TikTok, YouTube, Instagram, or Spotify, whatever there is out there, whatever content is out there, whatever mobile games there are. We use it to distract ourselves even when we are in the toilet, doing our big business. That sounds so weird saying it. But if that's not a problem, I don't know what is. When I realized that the music I was listening to, this distraction wasn't helping me anymore, I stopped. It's even gotten to the point where now, when I go into my music player, I look at the playlist and I actually don't feel like listening to the music anymore. because I've become so much more comfortable with the silence. I no longer have this inclination to listen to this music, even if it's like upbeat or whatever. It makes me even more uncomfortable to know that these emotions I'm feeling are not genuinely mine. They are being invoked by this piece of content. So like I said, I'm becoming more comfortable with the silence than I have been in the last 4 years. And it's that Saturday when I decided to just be more at peace with the silence that my problems started to solve themselves, in a way. I just needed 4 days. That's all it took for me to become more at peace with the things I struggled to accept in the past. The lack of external stimulation and noise gave me so much room to think and breathe. All I did from Saturday to the following Tuesday was just lie on the floor and think to myself in the silence. I would just listen to whatever thoughts I had and respond to it. Over the course of 4 days, just doing that helped me come to terms with practically everything I was avoiding. And now, I'm so much more at peace with myself. I'm so much more at peace with the silence. And the silence hasn't just helped me with this mental health, emotional issue. It's given me an advantage in other things. I have so much more room in my head to think properly. And because of that, I have so much more space to process the things that I'm actually consuming and make better sense of them and come up with better ideas. Now the ideas I usually got from like 20 to 50 videos after mindlessly consuming, I can get those ideas from just 2 or 3 videos because I'm actually processing what I see more deeply. I'm not just consuming content mindlessly, which has helped me come up with a lot of the new video ideas that I've come up with recently, this being one of them. Heck, this was actually come up with when I was in the shower in dead silence, just the tap running. I was just thinking to myself, the silence helped to clear my idea block, and it helped me to improve my mental state and my emotional state by a lot. It 10x'd my self-awareness in the span of just 4 days. So here's what I want you to try and do. For 1 hour every day, turn your Wi-Fi and mobile data off and just go about your day. You can be doing meditation during that 1 hour, doing journaling, doing deep work, or just going out and having a walk. Just cut off your connection from the internet. Don't cut yourself off from your physical surroundings, but you don't need to have this thing by your side 24/7. Learn to be more comfortable with the silence, because that might just be part of the solution you need. Your problems may not necessarily be mental or emotional avoidance problems like mine, but the clarity you experience will definitely help you solve other issues. Like maybe you need help coming up with that next winning idea, but your brain's been too cluttered for you to think straight. So just give it a shot. It'll help one way or another. There's nothing you can lose from it. You can only gain from it. The title of this video said that I stopped listening to music and solved all of my problems in 4 days, right? But the key thing here is not music. The problem wasn't the music. It was the distraction that music was to me. For you, it might be YouTube shorts, it might be TikTok, it might be whatever. It's just a distraction that's taking your attention away from what really needs to be solved. And all of these distractions mostly come from the internet. This thing you're using to watch this video on right now. So that's the thing that I want you to try and cut down your exposure to. Cut down on external stimulation, so you can actually listen to what's inside of you and figure out what you're thinking. You can come up with ideas that no one else can, but only if you listen to your thoughts. And that's what I was avoiding this whole time. So to recap, music isn't bad. It's the distraction that it serves as that is bad. Learn to embrace the silence. Now that I've stopped avoiding it, life is actually so much better. I'm not even joking. Just take action. Just 1 hour a day, if not 30 minutes. Okay, please. just give it a shot, man.